Is a Michigan starter injured and not going to be able to play in the game against Purdue? Let's talk about it. Folks, welcome back to JR's Big Ten football news. I'm JR, and today we're diving into the latest buzz about Big Ten football, specifically Michigan football, with a heavy focus on them gearing up for this Purdue matchup, which they should have no problem with, but something to make it a little bit more interesting Saturday night in Ann Arbor is that we've got some injury updates that are making waves, especially with running back Justice Haynes. And I'll break down what that means for the Wolverines moving forward, plus a bit on the O-line, some promising young talent, and a quick look at the Purdue's defense to see what are we looking at here if injuries do occur. Michigan's got a lot going for them right now, even with bumps in the road. Oklahoma losing to USC, even with those a big story for everybody to be talking about and looking at right now is Justice Haynes and his health after being injured in the Michigan State win. What a game that was for Michigan. Grinded out, tough rivalry victory, right? Not all that tough. They ran the ball all over them and did what they were supposed to do. Michigan State had a little bit more offense and a junk time touchdown there at the end. But head coach Sherrone Moore was pretty vague on his radio show Monday, saying, "We'll see about Haynes playing this week," which typically is not a great thing coming from Sherrone Moore, and they're monitoring this closely. From what we're hearing, he's been spotted in a boot. That's something that one of the Michigan sites, I believe it was the Wolverine, reported that. And it's not just an ankle thing, but something that has got the staff super cautious at this point. And honestly, that's the right call. Haynes has been lights out so far this season, racking up stats that are close to Blake Corum-esque type of stats, right? 857 yards on 121 carries, 7.1 yards per carry with 10 touchdowns on the season. You compare that to Blake Corum back in 2022. Corum had 901 yards, 146 carries, and 6.2 yards per carry with 13 scores. The numbers are eerily similar, but Haynes has had the explosive edge, averaging more yards per carry. That doesn't mean he's been the better back, because Corum did play very little in those first few cupcake games they had that season, but it is interesting to compare those two stats and give some context to what Haynes is doing this year, because it is very, very good. Plus, it's hard to compare the game changer Corum was, especially when we think back to that Maryland game when he basically carried the team to victory, 243 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. But here's the deal. Rumors are flying that Justice Haynes might be out for the year, but I think that's jumping the gun a little bit, okay? I mean, big time, injury stuff, got everybody worried. Jumping the gun. It seems like to me a better idea is for the coaches to prioritize the long-term health of Justice Haynes, knowing they are going to need him versus Ohio State and in the playoffs if they make it. There's also the NFL future. He might want to make sure that he ends the season healthy and not injured, as that can affect draft stock. They are doing the same thing with safety Rod Moore, who's dealing with a knee flare-up right now. Secondary coach Lamar Morgan basically told everyone that when he said, quote, "Winning games matters, but the kids matter a little bit more," end quote. Talking about their future, what they're going to do later on in their career. They're supporting the players' future and also the future schedule of the team. Winning these Purdue games and stuff like that by a ton of points, great. What's the real game that matters? Ohio State, right? I think we see Haynes back for a big moment like Ohio State if everything lines up. Heck, might see him back before that, maybe just a little bit here and there. In the meantime, it's a chance for the depth chart to sign, and Michigan's got plenty of that. Speaking of implications for the season, this isn't derailing the Wolverines at all. Yeah, the offense is going to take a hit here a little bit, and the O-line's got some injuries that they're dealing with as well, more than any other group, but there are even rumors about another lineman getting helped off the field in practice this week, so just keep an eye out for the injury report on Saturday. But in reality, Michigan should have no trouble with Purdue, right? Timing-wise, facing Purdue, this is probably the best time. You're about to hit a bye week next week. Perfect setup to heal up and regroup what is it, 2 weeks from now, because we're so later on in the week. Michigan still got a strong spot, sitting with the ground game averaging 221 yards per carry, 11th in the nation. Without Haynes, sophomore Jordan Marshall is going to step up. The kid's a beast, back-to-back 100-yard games, including one against Washington when Haynes was out completely. And if you need more help on the ground, yes, you have a backup, but you also have Bryce Underwood. I think we've heard about him a little bit, right? He's the kind of back who'd start anywhere else. Then you've got freshmen, I should say anywhere, like 95% of other schools out there. Then you've got freshman Jasper Parker, junior Bryceman, because Duzzle, I pronounced his name wrong, I apologize. But they're ready to contribute, and maybe even some design runs, like I said, for Bryce Underwood, the quarterback, to keep things dynamic as well. And let's not sleep on the future of the Michigan O-line as well, the offensive line. There's so much upside here, and got me. I mean, it should really, really have fans very excited, because redshirt freshman Blake Frazier did well at left tackle against Michigan State in just his second start. Coach Moore called him really, really good, aside from a few plays here and there, and you're gonna get that with young players, but that's why you play them, right? Let them get that out of their system. Sharon Moore praised him for his violence, his tenacity. The kid's got family ties. His dad played at Michigan. He's channeling his inner John Jansen energy, finishing blocks like a pro. He's going to be tough to keep off the field going forward. And there's the redshirt freshman guard, Jake Gunonera. It's terrible with these names. Who's been the most consistent lineman all year. No knock on the vets, right? He's pegged as next year's center with sky-high potential. And you have the freshman center, Caden Strayhorn, who is already traveling with the team since week 2. I remember watching his high school film, and the kid can really play. He's got good violence, tenacity to his game as well, and he will be a dude for the Maize and Blue in the future. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I mean, Michigan State, like, they really dropped the ball on recruiting this kid, because they might have cost their dad, some turmoil and everything with him letting his son go to Michigan. There's rumors about his radio gig and everything. You know, talk about that. It sucks, but it is what it is. This is college football. What does all this mean for the Purdue matchup, though? This one's got all the makings of Michigan dominance there, even with some injuries on offense. Purdue's in a rough spot under head coach Barry Odom right now, who brought in a whopping 54 transfers, the most of any team in the country. They're 2-6 in a 6-game skid, and staring down a likely 2-10, maybe 3-9 finish if you get lucky. But fans are frustrated, especially watching Indiana thrive across the state. Odom's mantra is smart, hard, and tough. And they've improved on discipline, don't get me wrong, but the talent gap is still inevitable between Purdue and Michigan right now. No big difference makers, and their defense is pretty leaky. They do have a safety, Raja Elha, Raja Ta'el, I believe is how you pronounce it. Again, I'm terrible with names. I apologize. But this defense, 96 overall, 102nd against passing yards allowed, 251.9 yards per game, and 81st in the country on the ground. They've done an admirable job of stopping the run, even with those bad statistics. If you look at the average of teams, not a lot of yards per carry against them, kind of middle of the pack in the country, thanks to some good linebacker and safety play. But overall, Michigan, they shouldn't have any problems moving the ball against this Purdue pass defense, and they shouldn't have any problems in the against the run defense either. They are weak. They are the weakest run defense that Michigan has faced this year. Underwood's been money at home, 69.4% completion percentage, 986 yards, 5 touchdown passes, and just 1 pick. You can expect him to connect with Donovan McCauley and Andrew Marsh, especially if they exploit matchups like some of the Purdue corners that have not been great this year. On the ground, even without Haynes, Marshall and company should feast. Purdue's front has size, but Michigan's line, with their technique, their size as well, should be able to handle and overpower them. Overall, this is a great get-right game for Michigan before the bye. I know that it wasn't like they were bad against Michigan State, but some of the injuries, they'll be shorthanded, some starters out, but the depth and home crowd should make it lopsided. Purdue could be within a score or two, maybe at halftime, but with them missing chances in winnable games, blowing leads against Minnesota and Rutgers, just it highlights their struggles this season and makes ending the season, this final stretch, very, very difficult. No one's expecting them to quit. They're not going to quit. They have too good of a coach for that to happen. But with Ohio State, Washington, Indiana left on the schedule after Michigan, it's tough to close the year for Purdue. Wrapping this up, Michigan's navigating these injuries smartly, I do believe, putting players first while staying competitive and getting ready for the future. Haynes' situation is a setback, but it's not the end, and it opens doors for others and keeps the focus on long-term success. The Wolverines are getting ready to hit their stride to end the season like they did last year in November, and games like Purdue are stepping stones in the journey. What do you think about it all? Will Haynes make it back for the game? What's your score prediction for Purdue? I think I've got it at like 34-10, maybe 27-7, something in that range, right? I don't think Purdue's going to score very much, if at all. But drop your thoughts, drop your comments down below. Subscribe. Would love to hear from you. More Big Ten news and rumors here. I'll catch you next time, and I'd love to interact with you in the comments section. Thanks so much. Have a good one.